Well, if you're like me, we've just barely survived the first debate for this election season, and it was special. It was like a giant slap fight of bumbling idiots that you didn't understand what either of them were saying, and none of it really actually mattered because there was no real substance to any of it. Anyhow, with that, I'm going to bring you a little bit into my life. I have a really good friend of mine that I'm going to bring onto the show. He's a second year law school student, and he actually taught my Civ class. So he's a few years older than I am, and yeah, he taught my class when I was over in high school. And we just became really good friends. We're really focused on politics and everything like that. And whenever anything happens in politics, we end up just spending hours and hours just talking about it or anything like that that's kind of going on, cultural issues and everything like that. So I just kind of, instead of just blabbering back and forth with him and I and nobody really being there, I figured we'd give it a shot, record the episode. I think it turned out really well. We discussed a lot of issues, and Rob's a really good friend because if he doesn't agree with me on an issue, we kind of discuss it, and we can go back and forth and bounce ideas off of each other, and we tend to kind of grow off of each other. So it's just really interesting. I had a blast putting this together, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Anyhow, I'm your host, the Shoe, and this is the Schumann Show. Hey guys, like I said, it's good to be back with you today. So I brought on my buddy Rob. We pretty much grew up together throughout a majority of my life, and we actually kind of met around the center of politics and stuff like that. That's kind of what kind of formed our relationship and everything like that, just how much we had in common. And of course, we got a bunch of dumb stories of stuff we did together as well. My buddy Rob is a second year law school student, and I guess anything else you have to add about yourself, Rob?
Nothing much. I just love politics, and I just really appreciate the friendship that Josh and I have. It's really anchored me at times.
Ha, yes. See, guys, I do have friends. So basically, I wanted to get your insight on what did you think the debate was going to be? Like, did you think it was going to be as crazy as what it was, or did you have other, I guess, premonitions as to how you thought it was going to be able to go?
I thought there was going to be multiple ways they could have attacked the debate. I thought there was two. So I didn't think that Joe Biden was going to collapse on stage like they were hoping for.
Right.
I thought that the outcome was probably going to be that Joe Biden would step on his words a couple times. I didn't think it was going to be such an interruption fight as it was. I didn't think Chris Wallace was going to suck as bad as he did.
Right.
And I just really think that. I mean, I'm sorry, but I didn't really think that Trump went too far when it came. Like, I thought he would perform just as much as he was going to, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
If you're like the way that I watch debates and the way that some other people watch debates, it probably isn't the same way. Because if you watch my theory about the debate is that if you watched on a substance level, Trump won 80-20, like 75-25. If we want
to take all the emotion and all the the crazy jargon out of it, if you go purely on substance.
Yes. So
okay.
And then but if you went with I want this to be a nice, clean, like Queensberry rules fight, yeah, like definitely it's something to watch. I mean, it just seemed like they were talking over each other and being rude, and I could definitely see how people viewed the debate as they did.
Yeah.
However,
now, do you think, like you mentioned, like you didn't think that Joe Biden was going to collapse on stage, and I can't really put my finger on whether the conservative movement legitimately thinks that about Joe Biden, because I think it really hurts us because we set the bar so low. So then when he actually goes up there and like I mean, he did have some cognitive thoughts that were put together, and he was actually able to form sentences. And the media just blows it out of proportion. And I think part of that is our fault because we set the bar so low on him.
And you are completely right, 200% right. We played this up saying that he was just going to fall over on stage. That like, okay, do you think in the last with the last like 30 years of history and debates that any candidate would let themselves get into a situation where they just collapse on stage?
Yeah.
Like if like mind you, I don't want to know what would have shown up in Joe Biden's drug test. It probably would have been stunning, but I at the same time we had to go into that one saying he's probably gonna like he's been a politician for the last 47 years. He's gonna be able to stand up there and he's gonna be able to rattle off a few lines like he did, and he's gonna be able to respond to a couple things like he did. He's going to be able to function. Now, be able to function like the same way he did in 2012 against Paul Ryan. No, he is not that Joe Biden anymore. Like you can definitely see that he is on a cognitive decline. He is not yet in an old folks home, but he is definitely he's definitely not the same person that he was. Not even like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and even when he was like under Obama and stuff, when he had to go out there and speak, it seemed like he could actually put stuff together. But within the last like year, even like to me, he seemed like he was even way more with it during the primaries than what he is even now. And the primaries were not great.
No, I mean like I always go with the shoe on the other foot analogy. Shoe on the other foot. If Trump did half the things that Joe Biden has done on the campaign trail, like say that he's running for Senate, or that or like tell weird stories about kids touching his leg hair, like would the media cover it the same way that they've not covered Joe Biden? No, it would have been front page news. It would have been on every single media narrative, and they would have been like, and they would have already been trying to get senators or get everyone to invoke the 25th Amendment.
Yep. Dude, and like that's a good point with the media perspective too, because like when Trump had to grab him by the pee or whatever video that came out or leaked, I mean, that was bad. That was not great. No matter whose side you're on, not good. But then when you have Joe Biden talking about kids rubbing his legs and stuff, it's like, dude, that is equally, or if not worse, bad. Like, it's just pedophilia and gross is what it is.
Well, and then let's even go a shade further. Tara Reid.
Yeah.
Like it was supposed to be believe all women, and nobody, not a single word about Tara Reid after like when it happened, like when the allegation came out, and and that's actually it goes to a character thing. What happened to Stormy Daniels? Like that was evidence that that Trump is immoral, that he's been paying these people off, and that he should quit the presidency. I'm sorry, but shoe on the other foot again. This is completely off base. It's wrong.
Yep. No matter how you look. And so I guess where would you draw the line between when morality comes into politics? Because I don't know about you, but like I didn't vote for Trump in 2016 because I
voted for 2016 because I just when the Access Hollywood tape came out, I was borderline. I really did think about just voting Harambe or something. Like that was a tough call, but I still come back to the point that Hillary Clinton was a threat to the stability of the country. I'm pretty angry about the 4 lives lost in Benghazi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
absolutely.
Like there was no way that I could hold back voting voting in any way that would help her, and my vote, withholding my vote, would help her. So
Right.
there's no
Yeah,
way.
I can see that. Yeah, and it was tough. And I tell you what, like after seeing the policies and the stuff that he's pushed through this year, I'm just like, dude has my vote. As a person, still don't like you,
Yeah,
but as a policy leader and the team that he has supporting him and helping him with all this stuff, I think is just phenomenal. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't think Joe Biden is the lead of his own party. I think Kamala Harris and whoever is, he's a meat suit, is kind of how I see him. And he has, because he flip flops so much throughout his career. So it depends on whatever the Democratic Party kind of lands on. He's just going to spew that out and promulgate that way forward. And I just don't see him having a real structure or a real foundation. And that's what scares me, is because now you have like the crazy leftists like AOC or Kamala Harris and people like that. They're all pushing their agenda through this dude because this dude is likable by many people because he's like old grandpa and
he's your crazy uncle.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And to a point, I do agree with that. He's just kind of he's for whatever you're for that will get him elected.
Yeah. So would you think that he's even like a true moderate, or do you like him personally, like take the party away, him himself as an individual, would you think that he's a moderate, or would you think that he's kind of more of an extremist?
Like he's a moderate.
Okay.
He for sure is a moderate, but at this point, it's like the political winds that blow say that he needs to be extreme on stuff. Like this is what Trump was trying to do. I think one avenue that he was trying to do in the debate, he was trying to separate he was trying to separate Joe Biden from the left, which is why Trump hammered him on the Green New Deal. Like you don't support the Green New Deal. And he's just like, no, I don't. Like the Green New Deal is a plan, but it's not my plan. Even though if you go on his website, it's his plan. So
yeah, dude, I was like, what? Have you read your own website?
well, okay. So first off, we need to get out of the way right off the bat. Joe Biden is a career liar. Like
Right.
this is like not like the last 2 years. He has made a career out of lying. He said that he graduated like at the top, like in the top 25% of his class in like an undergrad. It was he graduated in the bottom third of his undergrad. He might class like Trump said, I don't know. In like Syracuse Law School, he said that he got on academic scholarship for how well he was. Again, bottom third of his, and he also graduated in the bottom third of that school too. He did not receive a scholarship. He lied about that.
We saw Trump take him to town on that. Smart, you're gonna use that word around me. You're gonna use the word smart around me when you didn't even, go at top of your class. It's like, I mean, you're not wrong.
Let's just go to the times in the debate that he lied, which drove me insane. So the Hunter Biden story. He says that like where the Hunter Biden took $3.5 million from a former Russian like Moscow mayor's wife through his like Seneca organization, and he's like, that's completely discredited. It's not true. It's from a Senate committee that took a treasury document of the wire transfer. Now whether Hunter Biden was still affiliated with the company at that point in time, the document doesn't say. But the thing is that if it did, like if he wasn't, wouldn't he tell his dad, and his dad in that debate, who like he knows he's going to get hit with this? Like there's no way that you go into that debate thinking that Hunter Biden's not going to come up.
Exactly.
So if he does have conclusive proof, I mean the guy's a lawyer, he would just, you could smack Trump back on it. He doesn't. He just says you're lying. That's completely discredited. He doesn't say why it's discredited. He just says
he didn't bring up any counterpoints.
Yeah, and then Trump goes at him and says like, hey, you said that I was xenophobic for the travel ban. And then Joe Biden says that's a lie too. When we all know by tweets that we can look back, like, does he know the internet exists? This makes no sense. Like if you can, it does make sense because he knows that the Democrat media is going to carry his water across the finish line. and
Yep.
because they have TDS so bad. So like, oh, so
Yeah. The
um,
American mind span seems to only last like 2 weeks.
yeah,
You
I mean,
know, for as crazy as the debate wasn't for all the yelling and screaming at each other and everything like that, like a few weeks from now, people won't be talking about it.
well, just just think about this. October 7th, we have Mike Pence and Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think that Mike Pence is the administration's secret weapon.
Yo, yeah.
Well, on even like, he's on teleprompter, but he speaks so well that it doesn't look it. I mean, he
He's
is.
very articulated and he knows which words to use and when to place them. He has a moderate temperament, but he's not afraid to drop, I guess, truth bombs on people. He's going to speak the truth and everything like that. And I think my prediction is that Kamala Harris will come out of that looking extremely dislikeful just because she is so eccentric and off the wall and her laugh
Oh
alone.
gosh, so bad. It's the Hillary Clinton laugh, but just it's almost worse. It's the way
Yeah.
West laughed. I mean, it's I can't stand it. But then, and I know that Pence wouldn't do this, but all you have to do is a Google search on how she got started into politics, and
Right.
like this is like Willie Brown starting her career by other means, we'll say.
Yeah,
That's sleazy politician 101.
exactly.
Like how so I think
It's the political Stormy Daniels.
well like one of the reasons why if God willing Joe Biden loses this election would be that he would have lost it with his pick of VP.
Mm-hmm.
If he were wise, he would have gone with Klobuchar.
Right.
She would have probably given him Minnesota.
Yeah.
He could have gone with he could so many other choices. He could have gone with oh, what's her name? She's from Hawaii. Tulsi,
Oh,
like if he would have gone with Tulsi Gabbard, like
yeah.
he would have cleaned up. Like she's likable. She's friendly. Like I think she's friendly. She can work with other politicians. I think she just put in a bill to stop ballot harvesting. I mean,
Yeah.
like, and she presents herself well on camera. Kamala Harris does none of those things. She is
No.
completely like she's how are you going to be able to stand on a debate stage and say like I support my nominee my president 100 like my presidential nominee 100% when 7 months ago you pretty much said he was a
racist.
rapist and a racist.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
she says that Tara Reid should be believed 100%. So I mean, this is like that debate. I think is going to be really telling. We have Trump's like hopefully going to be coming out of the hospital soon, so that's add a new edge to it. You have the new lie that Biden pulled. Biden's campaign said that he pulled negative ads in nationwide. He didn't. It's still running in North Carolina. Like so, just another lie after another lie, and that's the one thing that I could not stand in the debate. The amount of times that Chris Wallace pushed back on Trump for just little
Whenever he seemed to pigeonhole Biden, Chris Wallace was like, "I'll save you."
Exactly.
And I was like, "What are you doing?"
Like Trump would come after Biden, and then Wallace would come in from would come and be like, no, we have to go to the next section. Like, okay, if we're being fair, how does Chris Wallace not say after the Hunter Biden question? I might be stuck on Hunter Biden-ness, but like, how does he not say, you know what, Mr. Trump or like Mr. Biden, he does have a point. Can you explain your son's actions?
Yeah.
By the way,
It's like
Biden took a 2.5 carat bribe from a Chinese official. It was like $1 million, a $500,000 bribe. For that's a diamond, and he took that, so it's technically untraceable. But
and you hear nothing about it.
Yeah,
Nothing.
when they've been investigating his son, like Trump's sons, daughters, and his extended family for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like I want Trump to landslide this election just to stick it to the media.
Right. Um, in regards to Chris Wallace in the debate, what did you think of the questions that were asked? Like, it was
They,
so painful because for myself, I thought the questions were so broad and they weren't specific at all. Like Chris Wallace would just be like, racism, go. And it's like, that is a huge, complex, intricate issue. And now it seemed like he was literally setting him up to fight, to be a slap fight.
yeah.
Because when you take something that's so broad and you're not able to narrow it down to be, because if you're trying to, like, if you and I have a disagreement and we're trying to come to an agreement or at least an acknowledgement of point of view for each other, we're going to try to narrow down that conversation to the point of where we have common ground. And then we'll build up from there until we start to split off. And then when we start to split off is when we'll decide those differences. And instead of starting way up here where all the top is like racism, it's like, okay, where do you see racism, in what system, where do you think it started, where do you think it originated, and trying to find, because we're all Americans, so there should be a common, like, fundamental element to each of these issues that they can just build up on, and then we find out where it is they disagree for us, the voters, to be able to differentiate the candidates from, because it just seems too broad.
Yeah. I think that the questions were very broad. Like, let's see. Where do you think Justice Barrett would take the court? Like, that's the first question. The first question that came up. Where do you think it would take the court? We don't even know if she's going to be like on the court yet.
Right.
That should not be like that. I think Trump had the better answer there. He was just saying like, hey, I hope that she interprets the Constitution as written, which I do too. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Barrett. Let's see.
Well, and like for that question, like why couldn't he ask like, why is it you have chosen Amy Coney Barrett to be the candidate for this position? What views or what made her stand out to be this candidate? And then when they went to Joe Biden, just be like, Joe Biden, who would you have chosen should you have been in the same position or whatever, and why? Like, what qualifications are you looking for in a candidate? It would have been.
And they should have stuck, and Wallace should have stuck Biden on this point, because Biden hasn't even thrown out his list when Trump did that, even before Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. So, yeah. I mean, this is like, if we're talking about transparency, Trump is the more transparent candidate, or the more, like, by far. I mean,
he can't keep his mouth shut, dude.
Yeah. And then also, Wallace, over the past couple of weeks, has been complaining about how Biden won't answer questions. Even his campaign won't answer questions. And that never came up in the debate, ever.
Yeah.
Like, this is personal stake for Wallace, and he has the perfect opportunity to slam Biden on a national stage, like he tried to do with Trump on the racism question, and he didn't. By the way, so he has the pointed question against Chris Wallace, right? It's like, oh my gosh, like, how could you say that white supremacist? How could you not condemn white supremacists when he's been doing it for the last 25 years? So, like, how could you not do that? And he's just like, I have condemned him. It's a very, like, that's one of the pointed questions that Chris Wallace asks. Now, how does Chris Wallace not turn his chair to Biden and say, Mr. Biden, what would you mean when you said that if you're black and you don't know who you're voting for by this time, then you ain't black?
Yeah.
Like, what did you mean by, I don't want my kids to grow up in a racial jungle?
That's exactly what, as soon as he said that, I was like, wait a minute. Like, why aren't you asking Biden about the jungle issue or the, you ain't black if you don't vote for me?
Mr. Biden, you talk about how you represent the African American community, yet you spoke at a funeral for Robert Byrd, who was a Grand Cyclops of the Ku Klux Klan. Respond. Like, I've got 40 quotes here. and they're just awful. Any one of these Trump makes, done. Like he wouldn't even. It would be like a Reagan landslide Democrat victory.
Yeah, and that's where I think Trump could have laid off on some of like the weird interjectory insults and stuff, and he could have just taken that list of those facts and just been like, "What about this, this," and just go straight down the line. Because the thing is if Joe Biden tries to do that to Trump, like we all know his character is pretty flawed, and he's just not affected by it.
He's a
What was that?
He's a mud monster. Like what hasn't Trump done in his life that might be more might have some moral qualms to it? He's been married 3 times, divorced twice. He's like the amount of Playboy models that he said, like all of these things that's come out in his life. I get it. I don't like it, but unfortunately, Trump is the guy that smacks the media, and that's why we elected him, because we are sick and tired of people like Mitt Romney, who I can't stand now, but back in 2012, Joe Biden again says that Mitt Romney is going to put you all back in chains. Mitt Romney, the milquetoast candidate who I'm pretty sure would not cross the street unless on a crosswalk. Yeah. Is like, but they made him out to be the devil, and so we said, okay, we're going to nominate the devil, and this is what's happened. I mean, we like the media is complaining to high heaven how we got these debates, and we're trying to tell them you got us here.
We the people, or you the media, are the reason why this is happening. Like, this is the American people kind of giving the media the middle finger. Like, Trump is our middle finger.
And this debate. So I talked to my wife, and I asked her about the debate, and she says, well, there weren't any plans. It just felt like 2 guys that were like 2 old men fighting over the last piece of meat at the country buffet. It just felt improper and unpresidential. And so I said, I see what you're saying, and I can see that perspective. However, we need to stop pretending that politics is this nice, orderly fight instead of the nut fight that it is. Like,
or even the founding fathers were throwing fists.
Yeah. Let's just what is it in the my favorite one? John Adams once said of Thomas Jefferson in the same presidential election, he's the half-bred offspring of an Indian squaw. Like, and they were friends. So like if things have been vile for a very long time, and we've been called deplorables since 2016. Saying that we're not smart enough to be having these debates. Like, if we vote for Trump, then we're not smart enough to be in this conversation. Screw you. And like, should we have a higher higher goal when it comes down to a political debate? I think so, but unfortunately, we're not there because the media has made things so vitriolic that
you have one side making all the rules.
Yeah,
and that's why you can't.
And that's one, like, I think that the moderators for the debates should actually be 2 partisan actors. You should have Rachel Maddow and you could have Tucker Carlson, or because if there is no impartiality to anybody.
Yeah.
When it says moderates, there's undecided is the right word, or independent's the right word.
Mm-hmm.
There is no such thing as we have this in law school, it's called the reasonable person standard. And the reasonable person is this one guy wandering around Alaska that's he's just a blank slate. He's just you bring all of your problems to him, and he's like this sage because he has no real opinion. That guy does not exist. He doesn't exist because everyone comes to this situation with their own notions. They're just trying to find the guy that meets their requirements. And
it's I guess essentially it'd be like Plato's form of um, or Plato's theory of forms, where I guess for like an apple, you have the perfect apple,
Mm-hmm.
and there is none like it because it is perfect without any flaws, but it doesn't exist because everything always has a flaw. So like the theory of an independent person that is truly independent is virtually non-existent because whether it's through like the cultural identities that you've been risen through or what you've been like your life experiences cause you to think certain ways, the people that you're around cause you to think certain ways, even like what you read, everything has an influence on how you're brought up and how you think it. So it's that man would have to just exist at that moment.
The thing is that if we can't have the reasonable person, then we have to have two sides trying to find the reasonable.
Yep.
So Chris Wallace is a registered Democrat. How is he the one voice in a debate? Like, he is more fair on Fox News Sunday, but he is by no means a fair and balanced person. And
Yep.
we saw that every second of that debate. Like, the first 15 minutes, Trump knocked Biden around like it was a boxing match.
Right.
And then during like the last 3 quarters of that debate, it was Wallace saving Biden multiple times. Like, how is there no follow up on court packing? If like Biden would not answer the question of will I pack the courts because like, oh, like if that's what it is, then that'll be the issue. Yeah, because if you answer that question the way that we probably know it's going to be, that is
Yeah.
going
It's like,
to be a
dude,
big issue.
the issue now, like that's why we're asking you the questions because you've been threatening, like, well, not you, but like your party has been threatening us with this.
And remember, who's the Democrat Party? Joe Biden. Joe
Yep.
Biden said he is the
I
Democrat Party.
am the Democrat Party. I know. I
But
just,
yeah, and then how does this not follow up? Um, like, I think the only time that Chris Wallace really gave him a really like used his words against him was when Trump was going to Law and Order, which he needs to hammer a lot more. But
yep.
Trump went to Law and Order and he said, like, I want to send these National Guardsmen into these cities and stop it like I did in these other cities. And then Chris Wallace turns to Biden and says, well, how come, like, you said you were the Democratic Party or the Democrat Party, and why haven't you called these mayors and said, like, you need to send these troops in? And Biden's like, well, I'm a private citizen.
Yeah, I'm not the president.
I yelled at the TV, you coward. Like,
Yep.
like the third time I did that night. But it was, you coward. How, like, if Trump would have done that, he would have gotten skewered. And see, and this is the thing. Nothing nothing the media has gone to over that debate has been to substance. It's all, oh my gosh, the tenor of this was so disgusting. Do you think for one second that if Trump would have, or Biden would have smeared Trump onto the floor in his arguments, that they would have been talking about how, and like in the same tenor that they had, that they would have been talking about how just uncouth and just poorly managed this debate was? No, they'd be
Yeah.
saying like Biden wiped the floor with him. But
Yep.
and so that tells me who won right from the off. I
Yeah.
think it's a debate that really made each each particular side came to that one with their knives out. So that I can kind of see, but and like not changing too many minds. I think people.
I mean, I kind of wanted to get to that because, like, with the changing mind. So that's what my mentality kind of was. I'm sure you saw it at the beginning of like our live stream or whatever. Is I stated, Trump has to keep his cool, blah blah blah, because whoever's his base is his base, and whoever's Biden's base is Biden's base. The people that you're trying to get are like to get those suburban mothers in the center, and some of the people who are on the fence and they aren't sure who to vote for and everything like that. And but what if this debate was for the bases to
It
get
was
them riled up, to get them out to vote? What are your thoughts on that?
It's completely for the bases. Trump is trying to get out his base, and he's trying to quell the other side. Like, and you definitely see that in how he went after Joe. Like, um, okay, so the enthusiasm gap is definitely with Trump. Like,
Oh yeah.
who's really feeling enthused about Biden Harris?
I mean, well,
Like,
exactly. There's Trump's and then there's a dead guy.
yeah. So, he was trying to shave off the Bernie Sanders wing and the AOC wing, and I think that he probably did a decent job of it with saying like, hey, like, you support the Green New Deal, don't you? And he's just like, no, I don't support the Green New Deal. And he's like, well, you just lost the left, and we heard that like twice or three times during that debate.
That's an interesting theory. So you're thinking like so like Trump tried to more so attack to shave to make people on Biden's base not show up because he's not extremist enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
How did Joe Biden win the primaries? He, like, for one thing, all the other candidates that were also like seen as moderates combined, and they just fell right in behind Joe. And then, like, if they were afraid that Bernie was going to make a big stink at the DNC, so they placated Bernie by saying like I'll pick someone like I support your policies. I'll be your president. So, I mean, there are Bernie bros that voted for Trump, I'm guessing, in the last election. Like, so it's like right now, how many people have an opinion on Trump?
Right.
Like, love him or you hate him. And so currently I would say that there's going to be more conflict in the leftists than there is in the right. I mean, right's pretty solid.
Right.
So you see the primary voting, like, through the primaries, every single one of the primaries, even the total votes for the Democrats was hugely swamped by the Republican primaries. Just the number of votes in each state, and that's why you have that one guy who's he's predicted like the last 40 years of presidential elections, like except for 2 of them, right?
Yeah. I know who you're talking about, but I'm not sure what his name is. Yeah.
And that's like, I'm not saying that that's what it is, but I don't believe the polls. I just don't see, like, in this environment, who's going to say that they're for Trump?
Right.
So,
but the polls, I guess they're more so based on population and less on districts, it seems.
The polls are based on there's registered voters and likely voters, and the likely voters are like that's who that's a lot of them are measuring, but they go off registered voters as well. What you're not hearing about is the ground game that Trump has put in, which is a lot like what Karl Rove did in 2000 and 2004, which is getting people that have never voted and just going door to door and being like, hey, I want to talk to you about getting registered to vote, and driving out those votes that have never been out there. And pollsters usually don't call those people. So
right. Yep.
That's what I'm hoping for in this election.
It seems like that's what happened in 2016.
Yeah.
There's all these people got like, I think Ben Shapiro puts it like it was a kind of retribution on Obama's administration and what happened, and people were just sick of it.
Well, and there's only 2 people in this world. There's 2 types of people in this world when it comes down to Hillary Clinton: the ones that like her and the ones that, and there's no in between. So like, people did not like Hillary. She's the most unlikable candidate there was. And like,
you got the devil from the media or Hillary Clinton, and people went with the devil.
Yeah, better than every devil you know. But as much as I did I liked the debate. I love a good fight.
Right.
Like, when I saw that, I'm like, this was fun. Like, this is fun for me. But after talking with my wife, who's probably more fair-minded and less of a zealot than I am,
All right.
like, I do think that like you guys were saying on your live stream, I think that Trump needs to let Joe Biden hang himself.
See,
Like,
and this is why I'm glad we did this, because I think I was so expecting him to go after the middle ground that I never expected him to be, as you put it, like attacking the bases. I was more so along the lines of thinking of amping each person amping up their own base instead of trying to shave off from the other bases. But with the whole, I mean, he made Joe Biden say that he supports cops and he doesn't want to defund the cops, and oh, the Green New Deal thing. I mean, it was like, Joe, you still a Democrat even? You know what I mean? And it was like, oh, okay, so that makes sense. So that was super amped up because both bases, I mean, geez, you just step foot on Twitter and it's like a war zone. So it's like I could see that being so outlandish and in full of interruption and stuff like that because you are trying to shave off the other base or trying to pump up your own base. Do you think that there will be a debate in the future where they're actually going to try to reach out to like the middle ground and like the suburban moms and stuff, something that's a little more mellow, or no?
I think that's actually going to happen. Like someone's going to have to like say that like, and I know that it's hard to talk to Trump, but like someone's going to have to go and say like, like, okay, you're going to have to let him talk because he's going to stumble, and when he does, you can like people are going to be able to see that. However, like I've just prepped this one thing, like the I hate the ransom proposition that the Democrats have right now. Like, so Trump needs to just come out and say that that the leftists are saying that if you vote for them, all the rioting stops. They're holding you ransom and saying like you better vote for us or all this is going to keep coming. The thing is that once you give them that power, they're not going to stop. And he has to make that plea into the faces of the American people and say like, do you think that Joe Biden is going to be able to hold these forces back?
Yeah.
No. Like,
and it's because he hasn't. I mean, that's like somebody kidnapping my little brother, and they send me, you got to come up with $20,000, or we're going to pull the fingernails off of your brother, and we're going to torture him crazy, but your brother's already dead.
yeah.
It's like
I hate
any conservative who falls for that is an idiot. You can't give into this.
Idiot. Like when so yeah, and you're like, oh, we'll return this if you vote if you give us what we want. No, you have to play hardball. If, like this is like
apparently you don't know the American spirit from before, but we as Americans tend to take what we want. I mean,
like so let's just for example, like the Middle East peace deals, which that's another thing. How do you get 3 Middle East peace deals within 45 days of each other? And that is not the first thing that gets talked about in the debate. Which that's not going to be talked about in the next 2 either. Like Trump is going to have to push that to the front. Like who else has done this anyway?
Yep.
What do the Palestinians do every time there is a peace deal? They said like you give us everything or we're walking away.
Yeah.
And they fell for it every time. And like it's like they would give them like they would almost give them the farm in some cases, and they're like nope, it's not everything. Like they just wanted to fight. And so what did Trump do? He's just like, okay, take your ball and go home. These countries want a deal.
Yep.
Like so, and like because these
drew a line in the sand.
Yeah. He's just like, either you actually want to be a part of this conversation or you don't. And it was clear they didn't. And like he needs to make that very clear is like the only reason this is happening is because leftist mayors and leftist governors are not allowing me to send in the National Guard. They, like
you just put a line in the sand and be like, hey, either you're on the side of law enforcement and peace, or you're not.
Well, even with all of with how maybe erratic he is as a person, Trump is actually like one of the more federalist presidents we've had. Like
it blew my mind, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
COVID, he's saying, governors, you need to take like whatever you need, request it, it will be there. Like I will provide as much as I can as president, and you as governors will have to I know we're kind of short on time, but like you as governors are going to have to like provide it. Same thing with this. When there was rioting in Minnesota, he said, "What do you guys like? What do you guys want? I can send in the National Guard, but you have to request it as per the Constitution requires."
Yep.
I can't just like he can technically do the Insurrection Act, but as soon as that happens, he's a despot that needs to be taken down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, tyrant. Oh yeah. So yeah, this has been awesome, and we could go on forever, which is fantastic. We'll definitely have to have you back on. But I do have one more question for you. At the end of our debate, I was outnumbered, which is fine. Three of the guys kind of thought that it would be the end or the destruction of America as we know it.
Yep.
I certainly don't think it'll be great, but it seems like government sucks, and it takes forever to get anything done ever because there's so many people pounding heads and everything like that. In order to make any dramatic changes, you would have to issue an addendum or an amendment. Got my tongue tied, and so I can see stepping stones leading to something worse, but I don't think Biden is the end of the nation. What are your thoughts? What do you think would happen in a Biden election should he get in? Do you think it's the end of America?
So I kind of came down on both sides of your guys' debate because I don't fear Biden. I do fear Harris. She has been on the record saying that you can shut down speech because hate speech is hate speech is violence, which it's not. Like I'm in a First Amendment class. It's not, but so, but I think that so Biden, if he's Biden will stay in for maybe 2 years. Under 2 years, and Harris takes over, that means that she can run twice for re-election. So,
oh yeah,
that would be. I think that would be a very that would be a thing. Plus the fact that Biden gets in, like your other podcasters said, that means that they probably get the Senate 50-50 with Harris being the vote. There is no filibuster anymore. That means that Puerto Rico and oh dear,
DC?
what?
Puerto Rico and DC.
Puerto Rico and DC are now are probably going to become states. Immigration is gonna they're gonna pass a amnesty bill. So
okay, can I pause you real quick? So what would it take to bring in DC and Puerto Rico?
For DC, there's going to have to be a federal amendment. There's going to have to be a constitutional amendment since it's a federal district.
And would there be enough states to pass that?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
Members of the states would have to sign on to that one. I think. I feel like, they would pack the courts. I think that she's radical enough. She would pack the courts, and once that happens,
there's a reason why Joe Biden's not answering it.
Yeah, and once that happens, we're in Ben Shapiro land of the agreement that we had as a country goes away, and that's going to be I think that it would mean we're going to have to ask some very tough questions, and I mean we're it's gonna wind down to people being able to or what country do you want to live in? Do you want to live under what the Constitution was supposed to be, or do you want to be under leftism, which they change that they bring these things in?
Yeah, Stalinism, communism. Yeah,
fault Trump for what you want, but he is not he is not really imprisoned enemies like others are calling for. Yeah. I mean, look at California. There is no like California would be what the country would look like under under a federal government led by leftists.
Yep.
It would mean that they would like there's not going to be any fossil fuels, which is going to be really fun for North Dakota and its wealth of oil, and same Texas. How Biden didn't get called out on he said he wanted to ban fracking, and so his polls would tank in Pennsylvania. Yep. I have no idea, but like this is the core thing that holds us together. Is can we actually agree to not crush each other with a hammer when we have that 51%?
Yeah.
And the dark secret, the deep dark secret that no one wants to tell that no one wants to tell each other, is that the federal government should not be making those kind of policies at all. Like this, like
absolutely
finite level of stuff that they were supposed to take care of. Everything else goes down to the states.
The state power was supposed to be astronomically larger. Like you read through the Andrew Jackson and his writings in the Federalist Papers. I mean, the military for each state was supposed to be like way larger than what the federal military could ever dream of being.
Like even if Roe versus Wade were to go away tomorrow, that does not mean abortion does not happen.
Thank you. I don't know why some conservatives and most leftists think that.
In order for that to happen, there would have to be an amendment to the Constitution that says life starts at conception.
Yep.
What would happen is it would go back to the states there's nothing in the Constitution about abortion. Like if you want to go through the 14th Amendment with the grab bag that the due process clause is, like that's the only way where you could say stop. That's the only way that you could say that like we think that a person is like starts from conception.
Yeah.
But even then, like there's no way that you can possibly read that into it. I don't like the due process clause. I hate it. Like it's where they find all the things that they want to ram down your throat.
Mm-hmm.
Like the states should have more power, like the powers that they had, and then the federal government should have the enumerated powers that it has. Yep. And the thing about the federal government is that it's supposed to be slow. It's supposed to be something that the stuff doesn't get.
It's supposed to catch on itself.
Yes, like ambition checks ambition.
Yep.
So what is more responsible? You at the local level talking to your politicians where they can actually get stuff done and it doesn't like make the entire country mad, or the federal government where they just say, you know what, no second amendment anymore, like Harrison, because okay, if they include those states without a minister and they have the House and a Democratic president, your rights start going away.
Yep.
The Second Amendment will be effectively written out. They'll ban.
And this is where I put my failsafe, because how do I explain this? I don't view America or the country of the United States as a place more so than what I do in ideology. Therefore, I think that if the Second Amendment started getting taken away, or the First Amendment rights started getting taken away, when the American people say no and they act on that, I believe that is where, to me, America is still alive. Because the people rule this country, and the people said to the government, no. And to me, that means the American foundational spirit is still alive and America is not dead.
I agree with you, but who else do you know that's going to stay? That's going to pick up their gun and go with it? Like, is it?
I mean, I could think of people within my own state, but other states,
like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I lived in the same place as you did.
Yeah.
So, I know that good old home North Dakota is probably going to be right up there when it comes down to like getting pretty randy when Second Amendment stuff goes away.
I mean, there's a reason why Antifa came into our town and then took the exit right off of our town. I mean, snipers posted right up on the rooftops of the buildings. We had bikers lined all up and down the streets. It's like they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna totally ruin this town. No, take the exit. Let's get out of here."
Like,
But like you
I
said,
think like there's
how
gonna
many
have
people
to
are
be
willing to withhold that?
like there's like I think that someone's gonna overstep. Like leftists don't know what balance is, so they're like they can overextend, and I do hope that at some point, like the First Amendment gets taken away. Like, not I don't hope that gets happened, but like they go and they take one of those fundamental rights away, and it's just like no. And I like I'll be right there with you. Like I'll be in the same like I'll be spilling the same blood in the same mud, but like because America is an idea,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the best idea that humans have ever come up with, besides belief in God. But like not like we that's not an idea. That's just innate within us. But
Right.
through God, we have created this country, and it's the longest living constitution, the longest lasting constitution on the planet, and it's the shortest constitution on the planet. It's it's a beautiful document, and I will fight for it every day, which is why I came to law school. I believe in the law so much that I'm gonna put myself in a mountain of debt so I could so I so I can try and fight for the things that I believe in, and
I
fight
appreciate your service.
yeah fight in the and fight for the Constitution because I believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to take like-minded Americans being educated on why America is a great country instead of why America is an inherently bad country.
Right. And this is where I want to pause you, and I want to continue on. I lied about my last question, but what do you think we as conservatives, and I think you were kind of leading into it, what do you think we as conservatives and we as Christians need to do in order to get out there and push it so that we do kick the media back in a landslide?
I think that we need to. It's hard not to be afraid of retribution these days. I kind of I was taking a Ben Shapiro road of higher education and just like keep your head down,
Mm-hmm.
like, and then just like when you get out, then you can fight the battle. But right now, where's the battle? Like, where are the soldiers coming from? The left has its soldiers coming from academia. So,
Yep.
but I think that as conservatives, we need to bear down on the results. What are the results that Donald Trump has given us in the last 3 years and however many months? Like he has Middle East peace deals. He has tax cuts. He has he's gotten rid of the devil part of Obamacare.
Mm-hmm.
Which president in your lifetime has fought for life? I mean, on that issue alone, I can on a single issue voter, that one alone, he has fought for life every single year of his presidency. He sent Pence to the March for Life. He has shown himself for the March for Life, and he has defended children, unborn children, when he can.
Yep.
He has stuck China where it hurts. Which China is our opponent in this century.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a tough fight, and we have to say, who do you want in office? I know that Trump, you can say Trump has, I want Trump's Twitter taken away from him sometimes too. I hope that he was the person that can really talk to you from a nice guy would. But the thing is that who do you want negotiating these deals that he has negotiated? He's these the partnerships that he's fostered, the trade deal he's gotten. He might not be the most the nicest person, but he's the person that's doing the work day in, day out. there is no one is arguing right now on the media how Trump is they're all arguing how unpresidential he is. They're not arguing the substance.
Yep.
I said from the first part, on substance, Trump won that debate because he has a record that he can run on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had unemployment down to almost the level that you can get down to. Like, right. Unemployment can never be zero.
Yep.
Economically speaking. But like
right.
around 2 and 3% is that magic little cushion zone. So like, but he's gotten stuff done, and he's been challenging the powers that be. How is the human trafficking news that he's been like hundreds of in the last month that are being rescued? I mean, like, he might not be speaking God's language, but he is doing God's work. And and like, do you want this country to survive? Yes. Do you believe that our economy should work for Americans and then spread the wealth out to other nations? Yes. Do you think that other nations should have a say in how we conduct our business? Like, no.
Yep.
And then, like, even when it comes down to the coronavirus, who has done better?
Yeah.
Like, there are no right solutions. And the thing is that who would have had it worse?
Yep.
Biden would have had it worse, because we would have, like he said, Biden, we would have been at we probably would have, I don't know if 2 million is the number, but we definitely would have been somewhere north of 500,000.
Yeah.
Would have let people come in from China. Like, if that travel ban would not have been instituted.
Absolutely.
Like, it is like, and everyone after the fact, and that's why Biden ran from the answer, because he knows that it would have been wrong. He's like, I never said that. Yes, you did. What? What? Who is working for you? Not who is being mean to you. Who is working for you? And Trump is working for us. And and then at a very base level, who loves this country? Trump represents people that love this country.
Yep.
Biden, while he may like this country, is represented, like, he represents people that at a core level do not like this country.
Yeah. Completely dismantling the foundations and everything there within. Absolutely. Well, Rob, I believe that is about all the time we have today. Definitely want to have you back on to discuss some other stuff. I just love our time together and being able to talk with you and everything like that, discuss these issues in a more intellectual way to kind of get into the meat of the topics. And it'd be nice to have you on to discuss some actual policies and some actual court cases that you found interesting throughout law school and stuff like that. And we could really pick apart those court cases that you think have shaped America, if you'd be open to that.
Oh, absolutely. An hour goes
by. What was that?
An hour goes by fast with us.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. But yeah, and I think just to sum this up, I think what Rob said was really good. You know, we need to kind of be firm on where we stand. We need to be able to say no to certain things that the government tries to implement, be able to stand our ground when those tough choices come up. When the time comes when your rights begin to be taken away, where will you stand? Where will you be? Will you sit idly by and let this country just fall apart? Or will you be out there spreading the knowledge that needs to happen, bringing back what this country was founded on, the foundations of this nation, what they were all built on, and how we came to this point now so that we don't repeat the mistakes that happened in the past? Where will you be? I'm your host, The Shoe, and this is The Schumann Show.